Welcome back, dear viewers. And now we are joined over the phone by Asma Savati, Assistant Lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Political Science. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon for you.
So, Dr. Asma, in your opinion, what are the measures needed to de-escalate Israeli aggression and contain the situation?
Well, to discuss the escalation effectively, it's essential to comprehend the Israeli objectives in the current war. The attack on the 7th of October significantly embarrassed the Israeli government, leading Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defense minister to express their intention to completely annihilate and demolish Hamas. This indicates that the ongoing operation is likely to endure and last for a long time. Additionally, evaluating the role of international community is crucial to understand the prospect of de-escalation. Currently, Western countries are staunchly supporting Israel without taking concrete steps to encourage a ceasefire or prevent Israel from expanding its operation to a ground invasion. The primary concern, especially for the U.S., is the potential long-term consequences of Israeli plans, such as the reoccupation of Gaza, and also, which is something that Washington believes is not visible, and the displacement of millions of Palestinians. Economically and in terms of manpower, Israel cannot sustain a prolonged conflict. In my opinion, the most important question right now is when and how Israel will regain its deterrent status in the region, which was significantly declined by the last attack. Once this is achieved, we can start discussing the potential of a ceasefire or de-escalation of the entire situation.
So the president always calls for an immediate settlement for this crisis based on a two-state solution. What's your take on this? And do you expect that the two sides can sit on negotiating table after all these aggression?
Indeed, the current escalation can be attributed significantly to the abandonment of the peaceful process or opening the door for discussing the possibility of reaching a two-state solution, particularly by the Israeli government. This is evidenced by the Israeli expansion of settlements on Palestinian land and constant refusal to go back to the negotiation table. Western governments too have shown limited enthusiasm for pursuing peaceful solutions, while some Western leaders have recently discussed the two-state solution, particularly during the participation in the Peace Summit, which was hosted by Egypt. There remains a fundamental disagreement concerning how to achieve that, with Israel not open to make any compromises. This disagreement impedes any progress towards restoring talks in this direction. In addition to that, long before the event of October 7th, public sentiment in both Israel and Palestinian-controlled area had been drifting away from the idea of a two-state solution. So while theoretically the two-state solution is possible, the lack of trust between the two parties and the absence of international pressure, especially on Israel, to return to the negotiation table and seize its expansionist policies in the West Bank and other Palestinian territory, hinder any advancement toward a two-state solution.
So, Dr. Asma, also, if we talk about the United States and its stance towards the Israeli attacks and its blind support to this aggression, how do you see the United States stance?
Okay, so since the commencement of the attack, U.S. officials have unequivocally expressed their unwavering support and solidarity with the Israeli government and its people. Notably, high-ranking officials such as U.S. President, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Defense have made official visits to Israel. Some state governors even have visited Tel Aviv, emphasizing their solidarity with the Israeli government. The constant message from those officials has been that Israel has the right to defend itself using what they consider to be proportional force. President Biden reinforced also this support by increasing military aid to Israel. He took further steps by deploying 2 aircraft carriers to the Mediterranean Sea and calling for the involvement of 200 American soldiers to provide consultation support to the Israel Defense Forces. Even in contentious situations, such as the incident involving Al-Ma'amadani Hospital, the U.S. president swiftly sided with the Israeli account of the event. On the international stage, the U.S. exercised its influence by blocking a Security Council resolution that called for a ceasefire, while there is a growing dissent within some State Department officials and Congress members regarding the current Israeli government approach. The U.S. stance remains firmly supportive of Israeli ongoing military operations. President Biden has announced his language a little bit, attempting to differentiate between the Palestinian people and Hamas. He has also expressed a preference for delaying an Israeli ground invasion into Gaza. But despite these subtle shifts, the U.S. government continues to endure Israel's current operation and has refrained from exerting pressure for an immediate ceasefire.
So, Dr. Asma, can you shed light on the repercussions of this war on the whole region, as we have seen in the past days that Israel also is bombarding Syria and Lebanon?
Actually, this ongoing operation destabilizes the entire region and can open new new rooms for escalating wars inside the region itself. It affects, its own impact is negatively affecting the economy of the region in respect for development in any markets in the Gulf countries and other markets. Also, at the same time, it can open for growing influence for other major players, such as China. We have heard about an envoy, a Chinese envoy coming to the region and trying to lead some kind of negotiation between different parties in the region. So that means by the end of the day, the region is still in the spotlight of growing international intervention, and at the same time, the U.S. would need to abandon a little bit, focusing on the Indo-Pacific region and to reshift its own focus on the Middle East. And China also will try to play a role, Russia, and that means at the end of the day, unfortunately, destabilizing for the entire region.
So, Dr. Asma, to what extent the Cairo summit provided ground for concerted international efforts to provide protection to civilians, to put an end to Israeli escalation and deliver sustainable aid?
While it was very important to shed a light on the humanitarian aspect of the entire crisis and how we do have a double-edged weapon or a double standard when it comes to dealing with any crisis happening to or authorities happening to the Middle Eastern people, especially Palestinian in Gaza right now. It unfortunately shed a light also on how there's some kind of friction between the Western perspective and how they perceive what's happening on the ground right now, and also the Arab countries. They refuse to call for a ceasefire. They only emphasize on condemnation of Hamas acts without trying to condemn also the action of Israel in the Gaza Strip right now. So we hope it will help, but currently there is no major involvement or there is no major development coming out of the summit.
So, Dr. Asma, also, if we talk about the international community and the world institutions also understands towards what's taking place in Gaza, how do you see their stances?
It goes in a line with the Western stance. Generally speaking, they try to see we have to impose the international law when it comes to saving civilians and not to attack them, and to draw some kind of distinction between Hamas and other civilians living in Gaza. But they still do not condone Israeli action inside the Gaza Strip, and they don't call for immediate ceasefire, and they go forward with the Western narrative when it comes to the entire war and the self-defense rights and everything related to that.
Okay, Dr. Asma Safati, Assistant Lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Political Science, thank you for being with us. I give viewers a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned.
جند الله جند الوطن.